This is a circular saw, and this is a circular saw. This is a corded circular saw, and this is a cordless battery-powered circular saw. This is a left-handed circular saw, and this is a right-handed circular saw. The two have exactly the same job, that is to cut straight lines. But the two are very, very different. In this video, I'm going to cover all the things that you need to know to make the right choice in determining which is the right circular saw for you. I'm Eddie Field with Field Guided DIY. Let's dive in. Okay, picture this. You're making your DIY masterpiece. I mean, the sawdust is flying, the heart rate is racing, adrenaline's pumping, and you accidentally trip over the power cord. And then you have to stop, plug it back in. Or, even worse, you're on your cordless circular saw and you run out of juice. Now you have to stop, plug that back in, wait for it to recharge, only to regroup later on. Where was I? Which DIY disaster is you? Well, when considering the right circular saw for you, there's a lot to consider. Are you right-handed or are you left-handed? What type of job will you mostly be cutting? How mobile do you need to be? Will you have consistent access to power? Or do you need to be completely 100% portable? Whether you're a DIYer, a woodworker, or a general contractor, at some point you're going to need to make a straight cut. And the best hand power tool for making that straight cut is a circular saw. I mean, sure, you could use a jigsaw or a handsaw, but the best hand power tool for making that straight cut is a circular saw. Now, any recommendation of which circular saw is right for you is going to include a discussion of how are you going to use it. Are you going to be more portable, or are you going to always have access to a cord or a plug or power source? Also, what sort of stock are you going to be cutting? Are you going to be cross-cutting lumber like 2x4s, 2x8s? Or are you going to be mostly cutting panels like plywood? Now, first up is the corded saw. This is the OG of circular saws. This is the marathon runner of circular saws. Always ready to go as long as you have a power supply nearby. This guy has endless stamina and 0 coffee breaks. Oh, but there's a catch, the cord. The cord is like a clingy ex who just won't let you go. You're constantly having to be tethered to the plug and constantly having to be untangling the cord, especially extension cords. And if you're not good at cord management, you may end up with a cord that looks like this or looks like this. And this can be really dangerous. So the pros are unlimited power, lightweight, budget friendly. The cons are the cord gets in the way and has to be tethered to an outlet. The cordless circular saw is the free spirit of the circular saws. He's sleek, cool, hip and happening, a little bougie. This is the guy who always shows up late for the party, but always has the best stories. He's lightweight, he's portable, and he's ready for action, as long as he's got a charge. But this freedom isn't free. It comes at a price. You'll have to work in battery management and how full your charge is. Full charge. I'm ready to go. And also, these batteries and chargers are not cheap. They are very pricey, unless you catch a deal like Black Friday. Now, for the cordless circular saw, the pros are it's portable and you don't have the cord drama. But the cons are limited battery life. It is slightly heavier, especially with the higher amp hour batteries. And there's a higher cost when you combine the tool and the battery and the chargers. Now, the fact that it is blade left, you see blade left there. It is blade left. That means the blade is on the left hand of the handle. Whereas with this corded DeWalt, it is blade right, because the blade is on the right hand of the handle. Well, what does this matter? Well, I found if you're right-handed, it's easier to have the line right there. It allows me to see that line when I'm doing crosscuts. And while we're on this subject, let's get into this whole subject of crosscuts and rip cuts. Any cut where you're cutting across the grain, that's a crosscut. Get it? You're cutting across the grain, so it's a cross cut. So if you're cutting a 2x4, 2x8, 1x8, whatever, to length, you're doing a cross cut. In my experience, because I'm right-handed, a blade left is an easier saw for me to operate because I can see the blade right there. If I'm doing a cross cut, I'm not able to see the blade. I'm actually having to bring my head around. Now, sure, they have the guide there, but I'm old school. I like to see where my cut is, so I actually look at the blade instead of the guide. These guides can be off upwards of 1/8 of an inch, which if you're doing fine carpentry, that matters. So that's a cross cut. A rip cut is when you go along the grain, like for large panels. So as you can see here, I'm making a series of rip cuts in this 4x8 sheet of plywood. Then, once I have my rip cut, then I can do a cross cut. Now let's get back to these rip cuts. As you can see, when I'm making these rip cuts, I'm having to reach way out here. I can reach out from the other side, but I'm making these at a 45-degree angle. That is, I'm setting my base to 45 degrees, which you can do on both saws, then making my pass. I can only do this from one side. I'm going to have to lay on top of the plywood and make my cut. Really dangerous, don't recommend it. But with this blade right corded saw, I can make that adjustment here and get it from the other side. So the bottom line is, sometimes you're blessed to have two saws, both going from opposite directions. Now, as far as performance goes, this guy is rated for 4,900 RPM. This guy is rated for 4,800 RPM, but that's when this has a full charge. This is always at 4,800 RPM. As your battery dwindles down this one, you're going 48, 47, 45, 24, and all of a sudden 2,000, and boom, nothing. Dead battery. Whereas this guy is still ready to roll. Once again, as long as you have the power. So then you have to unplug and wait for this to charge or swap out batteries. If you do battery management like I do, I've got 2 chargers going in cycle all the time, and I'm juggling 3 batteries. On average, it takes me about an hour to get a full charge of 4 bars back on this battery pack. But with this project, it's been running down after 20 minutes of usage because this plywood is tough stuff. So in a head-to-head competition, I've found that the corded saw actually gives me more power than the cordless saw, even at full charge. This guy has the vroom vroom staying power. This guy, great portability, but drains over time. So which circular saw is the right one for you? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.